Hello there guys and girls, welcome to the video. I was going to go back doing Nioh versus Sekiro. I did the video nearly a year ago today, March 2019. It just hit 100,000 views. It mustered me 585 dislikes. Yeah. Because they're very different games, and the case stands with these two. Why am I doing this? Why am I holding up this game against the other game? Because you might have played one of them, even finished one of them, platinumed, maybe, and are looking for more ninja, looking for more samurai, cool stuff. And you can find that in either of these two games, but they do have their differences. I want to go over them. We're going to be looking at Nioh first, and this combat is the first thing that attracted me. A Soulsborne, a beautiful Soulsborne game. This is obviously Nioh 2, and it was a fantastic sequel, and it was probably one of the strongest games to come out this year, and it is one of my favourite Souls-likes of all time, up there with the Surge 2. This game is firing on all cylinders with everything. It's an absolute stunner.
Come and fight!
Ghost of Tsushima, or Ghost as I'm going to call it for this video, is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, and one of the most beautifully, almost accurate, historically feudal Japan homages that I've ever seen come out on the system, from Sucker Punch, and really a stunner as well, visually and with its flowing combat. The combat does have some similarities with the aforementioned games. There are little nuances that line up, but these games I'm going to flesh out exactly how different they actually are, and of course where their strengths are. One of the standout differences with the two games is how the combat works with a focal point. Now, Nioh has an actual click-in focus, allowing you to pinpoint an individual. Ghosts doesn't. You almost have that area in front of you, a little bit like Monster Hunter, that delivers damage. Do you know what I mean? And it's up to you to be able to put that area in front of an enemy. It's also kind of like an almost auto-aim, where it will link up combos with other attack patterns. You won't always be facing the individual you're fighting, and it's really crazy. You'll swing around at the last minute and do it. It sort of links in with the flow. I just wanted to show this clip because Nioh does it when things get really busy on Nioh. That's a bad thing. That means that you haven't really approached the situation properly and peeled away the enemies. Now I want to talk to you about the two differences with the combat stance. They both come with a stance system. How crazy is that? Nioh's stance system is actually quite deep. So if you hold down a shoulder button, you then get the face buttons over on the right there, and you can choose. Now mid stance is kind of the safest. There's low and there's a high that delivers big damage, but it's low on defense when it comes to parry. A little bit like going from two-handed to single-handed on Dark Souls. Now get this, I played the whole of Nioh 1 in the mid stance. I was too pussy to go into any of the others because I was too worried that I would not have access to the same moves. Every weapon has a different moveset on those 4 stances. 7 different weapon types in this game, all with 4 different stances. Holy shit. Now Ghosts has a very interesting stance system. R2 opens up like a stance choice menu, okay? Now you have stances or postures that are better at attacking different enemy weapon types. This guy's got swords. I need to go to swords as well on my stance type to deliver damage that counters what he's got. If someone with a shield turns up, I then have to flip to my shield bashing stance, which is a more overheaded, far more aggressive. It's awesome, and he has a break meter that I have to try and get through. There are 4, and you get introduced to them incrementally, and I've only just got the anti-spear stance, which is basically brought on, obviously, when you meet people with spears. Now, why am I showing you some Assassin's Creed footage here? Actually, this is not Odyssey, the other one, Origins. Get it right, Coop. I'm doing an Assassin's Creed video, getting that ready for the list that are coming up. But by the by, Jesus, man, I see similarities with more with Ghosts and Assassins than I do with Nioh. It's strange because of all that traversal and because of even that camera angle and that open world system. And that's another thing I want to cover, is that Nioh does not have an open world system. So massive differences there. That distinction needs to be made because it becomes quite important in the conclusion of the video that some of the directions these games take may or may not be things you look for in video games. What they do have is both have a spa recreation animation. One involving a loin, Oof, one without. Nioh's world is as flat as a fucking pancake. You don't even have a jump button. If there's a railing, you're screwed. You have to work out how to get around it. I respect that though, because you don't have to worry about platforming or any of that bullshit. There is loads of cool routes and secret passages and stuff. It also has a really cool performance option, which allows higher frame rates that I clicked on for that bit of footage. Now, what it lacks in traversal, it more than makes up for in weapon depth. And this is something this game has a blatant advantage over Ghosts on, and is that it presents you with just about every major Japanese melee weapon of war. Holy shit, you are not left wanting for anything that is metal and sharp. It is amazing for weapons and loot. It's kind of a big Souls-like looter action RPG. That's probably one of the best ways to explain it, but it comes along with some combat that is extremely rich. Now, we need to touch on this very briefly. It has a stamina meter. You don't have any stamina in Ghosts. This is a stamina management combat system, which means the enemies also have stamina. So when you clang them with a hard hit and they parry it, it works away at their block and allows you a window to then deliver a death blow. It is so clever how that when you hit the enemy, you can actually claim your stamina back with a well-timed tap of the shoulder button. Key, regaining your key it's called. It's a system that I think is superior to stuff like Sekiro, because it is also aggressive and passive, but at the same time you need to use your brain. Both of these games offer range combat also, involving a bow and an actual gunpowder based shotgun / blunderbuss that you get in Nioh 2. Now, this is also handled on a loot system with Nioh, but you have alternative ammunition and a huge range of depth with what you could possibly find in regards to a gun or a bow that would bolster your game massively. Now, another thing that this game has that the aforementioned doesn't is really crazy as yokai and Japanese folklore and monsters and awesome stuff. That is an advantage in my eyes, but I do like the history of Ghosts, and we're going to go into some of its groundedness in a bit, but wow, and the difficulty of the boss fights. Some of it is not needed, in my eyes, not needed. With Ghosts being an open world game, you have that advantage of the find a mission on an ad hoc basis, coming across their actual camps and dealing with them on your way to something else, and having that cool open world questing system everywhere. And it's very strong. There's only 2 other games that I put up with its questing system and open world system being on par with this, and it is Horizon Zero Dawn and The Witcher 3. Holy shit. So that's a hell of a accolade. A lot of the quests and missions may involve a key individual who is kitted out and fighting against you with better moves, or is significant in regards to what they're going to drop on the loot level. So you've got that added depth with a lot of the story as well. This got a very strong story, annoyingly unskippable cutscenes, and I wanted to also talk about your cool ninja shinobi stuff. They really do spice things up with the smoke bomb and the kuni blade. They add so much depth to an already amazingly deep combat system. Another thing that's amazingly deep is the engine that this game is made on. It's probably one of the most recent open world games that's going to come out on the system, I think. So we're looking at some graphics here and some assets and weather dynamics that are probably pushing that little black box to its maximum, unless you've got the white glacier. Now, I was talking about weather and weather mechanics with Horizon Zero Dawn on that review, and I did a time lapse here just to show how dramatically different things go when bad weather comes in. We're going to start talking about photo modes and engines. Nioh 2 just got a photo mode put in it. It's really funny. It's kind of like wrestling with something. I can't get a 360-degree circle because the controls are just too backward to do that. I can get ups and downs, which is pretty awesome. One of the things I wanted to point out is there's a low res picture of your armor sets over there on the right. I might be a variable that I've got changed on the options. That kind of wound me up. But I did wanted to just say, making yourself look badass in this game is very easy. And the armor sets that you're getting in Ghosts are kind of few and far between. But I am loving the madness that Nioh 2 allows you to go to. It's pretty crazy. Some of it is just out and out terrifying. Now let's talk about the meta game with Ghost, because I feel I've probably not pushed enough on really how much there is to do and how much there is to collect and how much is going on with all of the backstory and side quests and story quests and characters. You are going to find so much wealth behind just that combat that it's going to blow you away, and doing everything on that map is totally going to be a thing. Now I also wanted to point out how cool some of the quests and missions are. Nioh 2 is basically no substance when it comes to finishing a mission. You get through a hard bit and you fight a boss. This particular mission was protecting this dude, and I kept getting this alarm bell saying, get over there and sort that bloke out, he's about to get hurt. I love that idea. So we're coming into conclusion territory, and this is my advice with these two games. If you've finished Ghost, let's say Ghost was like your first step into maybe a third-person action RPG on the PlayStation 4, and you want more and you want a challenge, and you may not have played Souls games or even Dark Souls, but you might think that this is quite interesting. You're on the right track there. There is loads more cool fighting content to be had, but it's really hard, okay? And you need to be prepared to have a steep learning curve. You might even want to go and play the first one. And also remember that this has online multiplayer on it. And also remember that Ghost is going to have a co-op update that may have even dropped in by the time I do this video. So more similarities, but again, how cool to do this all with a mate. You're a big fan of the Nioh games and Souls games, and you're looking at Ghost thinking, there may not be that challenge there. It looks really story rich. No way, go for it. It's got a deep level of hardcore combat that is totally going to scratch your even Souls-like itch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll see you down there.